Good. Welcome, everybody out there, to this fourth edition of our webinar, this time around the magic of data services in Kubernetes. My name is Rob Jensen, and today I'm not the one who's going to be doing the talking. It's going to be my colleague, Mattias, but he can introduce himself in 2 seconds. All I need to do is just say hi. So Mattias, can you jump one slide?
Yes.
And I just want to say, just like the other times, that the purpose of this webinar is to give you an introduction into cloud-native technologies. And the idea is that we start with the basics, and then we move to more advanced. So it is meant for everybody to at least start to learn a little bit about cloud-native, and then it might be too advanced. But there's also something for the more advanced of you. So for questions, I'll be manning the Q&A today, so please use the Q&A. The Q&A is not the chat, so use the Q&A button. That way we are certain that we get an answer to everyone. So with that, I will hand it off to Mattias.
Perfect. And I hope all of you can hear me. So I'll move to the next part of the presentation. So I'm Mattias Söderberg. I work in the Tanzu team, and I'll be taking you through the VMware data solutions portfolio today, and also have some or give you some thoughts about what's happening outside. So this is the agenda for today. We're going to look into the emerging reality. I'm going to take you through that a little bit. What is that data transformation or data transformation? Going in a little bit in the theoretics of the data solutions that we have, and VMware data solutions, formerly known as Tanzu data solutions. So kind of the promise of data. What are we looking for? What are we wanting? How do we get there? And so on and so forth. And then do an overview of all the solutions and show how they are tied together. And what's not on the agenda actually is that we're going to finish everything up by doing a demo. We're going to have a look at an SQL, one of the SQL products, and one of the or the message queuing product. So with that, we move on. So why are we even having this talk? Well, it's about the emerging reality. I mean, you remember back when we said that, hey, you're running database, don't run that on VMs. You cannot run it on VMs. It won't cope. It won't have the storage, the CPU, the memory. It won't have the scalability, whatever. That turned into, well, please run your databases, even though it's in-memory databases with several terabytes of memory, and we are now running pretty much everything in VMs. So then the next storm of technology comes, like containers, Kubernetes, and stuff like that, and we are starting to hear this conversation. Should I even run things in Kubernetes? I know that Robert, my colleague, he tried to lure everyone in by saying, don't run databases on Kubernetes. Or there are actually movements in the market, and I see also a lot of questions from all of our customers that, should I go for that? Because for a long time, we kind of stayed away from it. And I'll say that, well, it depends. It's whatever you're going to use it for, and how you're going to move into this emerging reality. And the emerging reality of it is that we are seeing a lot more use of APIs out there, a lot of external data sources that we want to use through APIs in order to make our products, our company, and ourselves more successful in whatever way that is. So we start seeing data coming in from not only our own organization, but from other data sources to complement our own solutions. And this is usually turning into a very siloed thing, which means obviously a lot more management and a lot more thoughts about security on how we can exchange the data between all of these silos. And I'm not going to read through all of this, but I mean, these are all the various kinds of data that we are seeing being used step by step for whatever reason we need them for. But if we take a look at what enterprises seem to mean by this phenomena called data transformation, it's really one or two of the steps in the whole circle of going cloud native or modern apps. We see how the whole developing the app development way of doing things is moving forward. We're looking into modernizing our applications, which means that we're in a spin, like if we transform our DevSecOps, we need to transform our applications and the developers developing that. We also need to look into an infrastructure transformation, but also obviously not only data protection, but all sorts of security and protection. But also, I mean, if you have a lot of data sources and you store them where you need to protect them, you need data protection for that. And this transformation of everything, which practically means that you move everything up to the modern apps or cloud native layer. So you get all of your services, including infrastructure, on a kind of layer 7 level in your organization. So this is a handful, but it's a necessity, because when things start at one end to transform, everything else needs to follow suit. Do I need to do all of this overnight? Well, probably not. And one of the movements I see is that the most use cases for this transformation is that, and I think we're going to see more of this automation of the use of databases and all sorts of stuff in a later session in this series. I think it's the last one, actually, the 6th session, where we go into TAP, Tanzu Application Platform. There we will see how everything that I'm showing here is tied together, and we start automating everything from the dev to the deploy, with all of the data service and container builds and container deployments in between. So if we look into the middle one, that's where our data services come to life. And so what we're looking at is, for this all to work, we need a various set of capabilities in there to adhere to all the needs that goes from the DevSecOps transformation, application transformation, and data protection and infrastructure transformation. We need relational databases. We need message brokers. We need in-memory databases. We might need services around AI and data science. We also need data management, and also maybe a data lake, or at least some sort of AI backend in form of some storage that can just store a lot of various unstructured and structured data that all of these transformational steps can actually use. So how does that translate into VMware data solutions? Well, we deliver for example, the relational database and database management systems. We give you VMware SQL, which is a package of 2 SQL databases, Postgres and MySQL, or MySQL, as I or is supposed to be pronounced. We have RabbitMQ for message broking and streaming. We have Gemfire, which is an in-memory data grid and cache. Then obviously we actually have data science services, like people that can go in and help on this transformational journey, help out with building the hows and whats that you need to think about if you're starting the journey and don't have those capabilities yourself. And then as a backend, acting as a warehouse, data warehouse, or a big data platform for data lake capabilities, we have our VMware Greenplum. So what all of these have in common is that they are multi-platform, multi-cloud aware. One of the things also that I want to bring forward is that these are like Postgres and MySQL and also RabbitMQ and Gemfire. They are built on traditional open source upstream products. So we don't really do, we've made some enhancements, but we don't really change the core of it. So whatever's in the open source version, you can do all of that. And then we have some more features when it comes to HA, performance, and so on and so forth. And as for now, for the SQL services, we have VMware Data Service Manager, which will soon move on to handling RabbitMQ and Gemfire as well. And what VMware Data Service Manager does is it helps you keep track of the product itself, make sure it's all well, and make sure that you upgrade to the latest secure version of your stuff. And you get a really good overview of how all the data services that you will have in this, all the transformational steps, are actually connected, and you get an overview of how it looks and how it works. Also, seeing that these are all open source products, they run on any Kubernetes anywhere. And this is also an important thing, because I've stumbled on a couple of you out there that think that VMware SQL, as in VMware Postgres for VMs or Kubernetes, MySQL for VMs or Kubernetes, and so on and so forth. They are VMware stuff, and it only runs on Tanzu Kubernetes grid. But that's not true. So, I mean, if you are sitting on a different Kubernetes platform than VMware at Tanzu Kubernetes grid, these work on all of the Kubernetes platforms. What we bring to the table for these is VMware enterprise grade support on top of the community support that you obviously have access to as well. So it's kind of a twofer. You can go to us, get immediate support from our VMware support center. So it's it becomes kind of a one-stop shop, and which is also really good throughout this transformational steps that you need to do. Just the fact that you don't have to go somewhere else for support will actually speed up the day-to operations that you need to maintain on all of these solutions afterwards. So these products are meant to take you on a journey. They are meant to help you embrace databases, message queuing, streaming, and so on and so forth within your Kubernetes environment. And as I said, like in the application step, that's where we see a lot of people wanting to I just want to spin up my database, check if my code works, and then spin it down. Perfect example for a containerized and Kubernetes-based database of some sort, or data service of some sort. Should I use it in production? Well, maybe that's not the first step, but maybe you can start on the developer side, so you help with the application and DevSecOps transformation, and start consuming databases as a service in a self-service manner, in a declarative way. And as we're gonna see in session 6, in the TAP session, we can also help you secure and stabilize that whole thing. So you can rely on the resources to be there, to be the latest and greatest version, to be patched and updated, to have the least CVEs possible in these products. So we'll help you all the way. It's not a subject for today, that thing. I think it's gonna be Robert that will lead you through that. But this is kind of the main thing. It's if you go cloud native development, everything else needs to follow suit. So you start working in an automated, declarative, and API-based way and move forward. And that's kind of the key. And maybe that starts at the application side first, the developer side, and then it slowly moves in to become the complete solutions for everything you do in the back end with these services. But I mean, already today, some people do it from app to end, so to speak, to back end. So what we want to do is kind of take you from the silo-based approach and transform it into a complete data solution handled and visualized or is illustrated by the data service manager. So have the data service manager get control of all the VMware SQL instances that pops up, because this is obviously going to be a challenge. I mean, everything cloud native becomes very big. You spin up a lot of components. How do you keep track of it? So VMware Data Service Manager is one way of keeping this control, giving you an overview and an operational platform where you can actually look into this. And then obviously, I mean, solving the SQL backend where you structure all your data, you need to control and secure the flow of information going back and forth through the applications to the backend and back up. And for those that have the need of super fast performance, we have the Gemfire solution that will give you an in-memory data grid for cached and super fast responses. And then obviously, I think that all data solutions today will rely on one or more data warehouses or data lakes in the backend to like gather information. It might be your own GPT solution. It might be some other AI or whatever, but somewhere to store your data in a scalable solution. And Greenplum runs scalably on-prem or in the cloud. It sits in like Amazon or Azure or on-prem in your vSphere or whatever environment, actually. So you will get those AI ML functions. And then in this, you will have through the VMware Tanzu Labs data services, so services from our service organization, you will have the possibility to get help to really utilize this AI backend along with your applications, get guidance on your way towards using all of this. So before we go into demo mode, So this data solution stuff is all there to let you embrace performance and the possibility to scale, specifically maybe if you do this in a public cloud. I mean, there you can scale however you want, and also with these products, deploy anywhere. Do you want it in a container? Do you want it in a VM? Do you want it in some sort of solution in the public cloud, or do you want it everywhere? This portfolio of data solutions lets you run it wherever you want. So, like summarizing it all up, any data, any size, anywhere, that's what all this gives you. And just as a finishing note, why would I work with VMware to accomplish all of this? Well, for one thing is that the data solutions that we've picked to be included in our portfolio are very sought after in the market. A lot of people want to run Postgres, MySQL, RabbitMQ. Maybe not so many are using Gemfire in the Nordics, but we know that we have really large installations, both in the Gemfire form, but also as an Apache Geode shape and form out there, which is the underlying open source thing. So they are very common out there. And also a thing with Apache or the Gemfire is that it actually has a shim that you can add on to it, which makes you able to talk Redis with the Gemfire product, which is kind of cool. So you can slowly but surely migrate over to that if you want to. And another thing is that not only do we have these because they are popular in the market, we also have them because we are contributing to these projects. We are actually the major contributors to Postgres, MySQL, RabbitMQ. So, and Greenplum is actually built up on a lot of stuff, but one of the major parts of Greenplum is a scalable Postgres that we use as the backend in there, but it has a lot of other AI ML services in there as well, and data warehouse services. So that is kind of why you should come to us. We have a lot of expertise that help even in the community, but also obviously backs up the VMware support and giving you the enterprise grade support you will get if you get these products from us, from VMware. So that is kind of setting the scene. What do you say? Should we take a look at all this?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. Demo time. So I will exit this show. Everything goes black. And I will stop sharing this. And I will go into danger mode and share everything. So let's find where we should be. I think it might be here. Let's go here. Yeah. Here we are. I'm actually going to start by showing you a really good thing. I can't hardly see it myself. So, well, I'll try to guide you through this. So where do I go if I want to do this? What do I need? Well, you need a Kubernetes. That's what you need. That's where you're starting. And then you go here to VMware Tanzu Network. You punch in, if you want to do Rabbit, VMware RabbitMQ for Kubernetes. You go here and you pick whatever version you want to have, and you can read in the release notes what this is correlating to. And I believe 144 is 3.11, 150 and 151 is minor versions 3.12 dot something. I don't remember exactly, but this is the RabbitMQ for Kubernetes. You go into the documentation and you end up here in this document, or if you go to the web page, you end up here. You do the same for anything Tanzu, more or less. Anything Tanzu could be found here at the VMware Tanzu network. And anything you find here and you're able to download it, you can download it and try it out. You will be running on your own. You don't have any support other than, obviously in this case, the community or the documentation. So, and this is actually the way I got into all of this was that I just brought this document up. I followed it from the prereqs of installing VMware RabbitMQ in this case, and I went through this document from beginning to end, where I get a feel for how this works, what I need. I obviously mostly work in a demo environment. I'm not really out there installing stuff into production anywhere. That's for our PSO services. So if you want more of that, we can always put you in contact with them. This is all you need. And I actually tried this out because sometimes I hear, well, your documentation is not that good, it can't be used, but this is really good. And I got it up and running. Obviously, you need some knowledge about Kubernetes and how to work with Kubernetes workloads. You need to know some of the fundamentals of Kubernetes for it to work, because it assumes that you know some stuff about operators, about YAML files, about changing YAML files, edit them, and so on and so forth. But since we're looking at RabbitMQ, why don't we start with that one? So I have, and Robert, keep me sane and truthful here. I'm gonna pull this down. Oh shit! I have a lot of things from. Oh, there. Oops. I need to be at the right place. And maybe I should actually introduce you to the environment that I have. You see a couple of namespaces here. You see the DevNS, you see ProdNS. In DevNS, I have 2 Kubernetes clusters, and I'm currently in the Postgres cluster. So I will change to the RabbitMQ cluster here. Robert, are you able to see this screen? So you can talk for a lot of people at least?
Okay. Yes, I am.
Okay.
So
cool.
If you could make it a bit bigger, it might be useful. So yeah. That's fine, I think.
Okay, cool. And anyone, if you can't see it, let Robert know in the chat. So the first thing we do is we and by the way, I'm obviously running this on vSphere with Tanzu clusters. You know, eat your own dog food and so on and so forth. So we're heading into this. Have a look at the RabbitMQ cluster. And here you have some of the stuff that you need for all of this. I've actually, when I read through the document, I did some preparations to be able to spin this up in order and in a pretty fast fashion, just adding or changing some values. And I'll show you that. So this is the cluster that I'm working on, the Kubernetes RMQ cluster. So one of the things that's needed in here, and it's in the things to do. It's the cert manager. You need that to keep your secrets straight and your security high. The dev namespace that is in there, I probably put that in for some reason. You have the RabbitMQ system, and that is the namespace where I have my operators and my clusters at the moment. Maybe you should separate them in the future, but I did that just for ease of use. I have a secrets namespace. That's where I keep all my secrets. And I have a secret gen controller namespace where I have a secret gen controller that keeps track of the secrets and connects them to my various services in there. And then I have a lot of Tanzu, TKG, and VMware specific namespace. But the important ones here are secrets. In TKG system, I also have all the Carvel stuff, the CAP controller specifically that I need to set all of this up. I have the RabbitMQ system, and I have the cert manager. Those are actually the ones you need. So if we clear this view, if we go into my RabbitMQ YAMLs and scripts. So I have some temporary environment scripts where I set the password and stuff for my registry. I could obviously do that in another way, but this is one way of doing it. I have a script for creating my RabbitMQ secret and put that in the right spot. I do a security export for my RabbitMQ registry credentials. So, and that can obviously then be the Tanzu registry. So off-prem, it could be on-prem in your Harbor registry or whatever registry you're using, or any of those. I do a package repo where I can update my packages and make sure that I have the versions that I want to work with or that my developer wants to work with. So I can declaratively or in an automated fashion call for any version of RabbitMQ that I want. I obviously create a service account. I install Cert Manager, and I actually do this in my environment with a make thing that goes out and grabs the cert man, and it's a pretty straightforward installation for this specific demo POC test environment. And then I do, yeah, sure.
Of course, all of what you're showing here for the prerequisites can of course be deployed using TMC. So we had a question around that earlier.
Oh, yeah, right.
So
yeah,
TMC can deploy all the prereqs in an automated way, so that users only need to say, I want a Kubernetes cluster in this cluster group, and then you get all of this that's ready to consume.
Yeah. And that is a good point. I mean, we give you in the Tanzu portfolio, we give you all the tools to do whatever automation you want to do. So what I'm showing you now is it's very detailed, and this is what lies behind everything that the TMC tool helps you with. So I suggest you start with this because you learn about all the underlying parts, because with everything cloud native, container, modern apps and stuff like that, it's one way to install it, and then comes day two operations and lifecycle management and troubleshooting and stuff like that. So it's usually a good way to start with this and then try to figure out how to automate it later in order to get savvy with all the functionality that's underneath. But a good point, Robert. So after we have everything up to the Cert Manager, we start doing the Rabbit package install. So if we do get packages, we can see all the packages, but we can also see specifically this. So these are the different versions of VMware RabbitMQ for Kubernetes services that we have in here. So those are the packages that are installed using the package install. If I do a cat on the 08 package install, I see that I have a constraint here, 142. As you saw on the website, there is now version 151 as well. It's also 143, 144, 150, and 151. So if I put in 151 here, I will get all the 4 versions and all the 151 versions as well. So what I do is I edit this and I run it again, and I will get all the new versions. And I can then, after that, because after I do the package install, then I start with the real stuff. And that's the 9th step. That's installing the RabbitMQ cluster. So it's a much longer YAML. And let's see. So this YAML starts by installing a secret. It calls on the reg export stuff. It starts going through creating the RabbitMQ cluster. It gives it a name. It also starts a load balancer, and it gives you the option to start one or more replicas. It pulls the secret from this. It gives you, as usual, it does a request and a limit on the CPU and memory. And further down, it will give you, you point out the storage class name and how much storage. And then you do some affinity things in here and SKUs and restraints, all of that. But this is what you do. And if, as you see here, I didn't even propose a version in here. So what this will do is pull the latest one that's in the packages. If I want to do a specific one, I'll just say that. So that I want 144 or 150 or 151 or whatever. So, but what we can do here is like do a kget all minus n RabbitMQ system. So if you take a look, so this, what you will see here, well, it took a while. This, what you see here, is what you will have in this cluster, in this namespace, or whatever namespace you want to put it in, after you do the 8th step, so the package install. So you will have a messaging topology, you will have a RabbitMQ cluster operator, and you will have the replication, the standby replication operator. And then obviously also services to go with all of that, and deployments and replica sets and what have you. Set up in this way. So when I have this up and running, I'm ready to install my RabbitMQ cluster. And I do that by just applying or even creating the RabbitMQ cluster. Oh, I will also do it in the, here we go. So I'll deploy this cluster into my RabbitMQ system namespace. Oh. Oh, okay.
You need to do an apply instead.
Yeah, I should have done an apply. But I think that it just stops doing that. And if we do get all my, I do that sometimes. We should see a RabbitMQ server 1, server 0. And I'm pulling this all the time in case there are new stuff, because I'm pulling this from the Tanzu registry. So if there is a later CV-free version of the container, I pull it. So it's going to take a little while, and then we're going to have this RabbitMQ really simple cluster with one node up and running. Let's see if it's getting anywhere. Oh, and I do this live, actually. I'm going out on a limb here, and well, nobody remembers a coward, right? So this is the RabbitMQ server up and running. And we've also received a service for this, a load balancer service. This could obviously be an ingress and with DNS name and so on and so forth. But as you know, usually the demo environments are a little bit simpler. So just to show you where I end up with this one. Or it's actually the same as last one, maybe. So I end up here with the username and a password. And there is a default name, user, and password that I don't have the knowledge about. So I do a little thing, kexec. Oh, system. I go in here and I create one. So using RabbitMQ I will, and we do the usual one, right? I give myself administrative rights. And this is obviously not a thing you should do in production. But I do this just for the ease of use. So this gives me the possibility to log in as M. Soderberg with VMware 1, bang. And I get into RabbitMQ, and I can go through all of the stuff. I learn what my RabbitMQ cluster is all about. This is where I'm connected. I'm on VMware Tanzu RabbitMQ 142, Erlang version 25.2. I can see if I have any connections. I don't, because I haven't started any applications. I don't really have any channels yet, and definitely no exchanges, and I don't have any queues. So that's where we go after this. So I prepared now everything up until I run the application. So to see if everything works, I have an application, a simple Python app that I call send.py, and I have one that is called receive.py. So I will start the send py send. That will ask me for something. I hope if I have everything up and running. Yeah, it checks for some stuff, and then it asks me if I want to use that IP or if I want to change it. And as you see, I have the same IP as I put in there when I, so we go with that. And the credentials. And it should log in and it should send some fake city names to this. And I can send some more to this. And we can see that if we go to the queue, we can see that we have Tanzu cities, the Tanzu cities queue in here. And we can see that we're starting to have some message in out ratios. We can see an overview that we have sent some messages around here, and we can see that we still don't have a connection because we don't have a permanent connection. We connect and then we drop, connect and drop in this. So we're going to create the connection in there as well. But if we look at the queue here as well, we can see that we have a total of 30 messages in the queue that is just waiting to be received. And mind you, this is a super simple, you know, super simple example of all of this. So you have to keep me true on time.
10-12 minutes left. So
yeah, okay, I'll hurry up. So I'll start the receive.py here. Same user, same password. And this will pick up and receive all of the stuff. So if I go back here and send, oops. And send more, yes. You see that it moves up, not really well, but it does add more to it. And when we go back to the web, we can see that the queue is ready 0, on act 0, total 0. We can also see that now we have a connection. We have an ongoing connection that keeps receiving all of the messages that goes into this. So that was a short demo of the RabbitMQ cluster creation and application startup. So we do no, and we go over here and we control break that. So how about we look into Postgres a little bit. And go in there as well. So Postgres, kubectl, pg clue. If we have a look at this, kind of the same cert manager, secret gen controller is in there. Under TKG system, we have the cap controller, and we have PGDB namespace for all the things in there. Okay, get all -n PGDB, and we will see what is in there. So this is much smaller. We have a Postgres operator and a service and a deployment and a replica set. So what we want to do here is that we want to create the instance. And we do that by using a PG instance YAML. And also we may want to have a look at like installing the Postgres. It's also step-by-step, and it's also super easy to just go through all of this, just follow it, read really carefully, because some of the stuff in here is kind of hidden in a sentence in the middle of it. I know that, for example, the cert manager thing comes really early in the prereqs and says that, by the way, install cert manager. So make sure you read everything really, really well. And then you should be able to go from installing the operator and just go through everything and come to the point where we are right now. The operator is installed, and that's kind of where the fun begins, right? So I have a PG instance YAML. Which looks like this. So it's not that long, but I name it. I put it in a namespace. I give it some storage and memory and CPU constraints or reservations and limits. And I also point out that I want to run Postgres 15. I can also here do kget Postgres versions. Seeing as I'm running a Postgres operator, I give Kubernetes the knowledge of what Postgres is, and I have these versions of Postgres to choose from. So if I choose like I do here up here, Postgres 15. Oh, I will make this a little bigger as well. Postgres 15. It will take the latest one. I could obviously state Postgres 15.2 if I want something else. But I have everything up and running that I need at the moment. So I can do my k apply minus n pg db. Oh, what was the name of it? PG instance, okay. Minus f. Instance YAML. And we apply that, and we are starting up the DB instance. So we can watch what's going on in here, and it starts doing a lot of stuff actually. It has already started up the DB instance monitor, and it's now creating the DB instance itself. That's going to take a couple of seconds before it comes up. But what it's also done is kget secrets. We can also see that it has created a lot of secrets, and one that is really important is the DB instance DB secret. From this one is where I will get all my truths for my application, which we can have a look at. So I have my CTX Spring Music YAML. So if we do a cat CTX Spring Music YAML, here we can see that I've started up my Spring Boot application, which is a record collection register of some sort with my music in it. This is what I do to, and kind of looks like what it contains all the information. And here you can see that I have all the where I get my namespace name, I get my database name, database username, password, and all of that good stuff. So as soon as my instance is up and running, I should be able to, well, it's now up and running. So I now have a DB instance that I can run on. So the next step would be to deploy my application. Okay, apply -n pgdb. Oh. And I'll get my Spring Music up and running. So this actually creates a deployment and it creates a service. So if I do get all here again, I should be able to see, hopefully, my application. Yeah, well, it's soon running. And I also have received an IP address. So as soon as my application is up and running, now it's up and running, my music reg app. So I'll go here and I'll go into that one instead. And here you have all my albums that is pre-populated. And what I can do in here, I could add an album like 15 minutes by Nick Kershaw. 1999, I think. Let's give him pop. And then okay. And we can sort by artist in here. So this is just what my app does. And I have my Nick Kershaw in here where I can also go in and do edit and delete and stuff like that. So
Mattias,
this is, yeah,
we are more or less
we're on top of the minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these were the things that I wanted to show. Just it's easy to get going. It's easy to start playing around with, and then after this, you're gonna get serious. And our partners, us at VMware, can help you with all of this. You can run this on any cloud, any Kubernetes, with full support from us at VMware. So that kind of concludes the whole thing.
A comment from me. One thing I really liked around this one is that the secret with the connection credentials is not known necessarily to the person actually deploying the application. They just point to it and can use it. And if we change it and then by that change the secret, then that also the application will still work. So it's pretty easy to just rotate it. So
exactly. And also, like with everything else, I mean, this is in a YAML. Even if you want to do it manually, as soon as a new version of the DB instance comes out, you can just apply a new one, and it will keep on running. Just make sure that your app is not having any raw dependencies on a specific PG or RabbitMQ stuff. So, but that's what I got for you all. And
can you
I will
start
go
the presentation? Oh, I can do that. So
yeah, now you can do it.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can do that.
I got it. Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
I'm already up.
Just this one, yes. And so thank you very much for listening in today. The next week we'll take a break. And then we'll be back in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, we'll be talking about Golden Path. And we'll actually also have a customer case where we'll talk about how a supermarket apparently did some crazy things. And Tor, who will be presenting, can tell you all about that. And if you take the last one, Mattias, as well.
Yeah.
Good. So I put in a couple of links for the VMware data solutions if you want to look more into that. And sorry, I actually didn't change your name here. I'll change that for the final one. Sorry, Mattias.
If you pay me enough, my name can be Victor van den Berg.
Yeah. So, but the slides will and the recording will be out on the website, where you can also register for the next one if you want to do that. But for now, thank you very much, Mattias, and thank you for everybody who attended. We'll stay on for 5 minutes. If you have any questions, then just put them into Q&A. But thank you very much for now.